You're listening to Planet Chaos. And now, here's your host, Brandyn Chaos.
It is Monday, December 17th, 2012. Just a few short days before the world is supposed to end.
Yay. End of the world.
Now, I know, a lot of people are making jokes about the end of the world. And you know what? I'm going to be the one sitting there on my cloud, laughing at all the people that were like, the world's not going to end. The Mayans were wrong. They didn't account for leap year. And I'm going to be sitting there on my cloud going, I told you guys so.
Sitting on your cloud.
We did 2 fucking Okay. Sitting on my throne of thorns, okay?
You're not going to
Me sitting there right next to Ronnie James Dio. And God's going to be saying, the Mormons got it right.
Delusions of grandeur.
So, a lot going on since we were last on the air. There was a major news story this past Friday. There was a school shooting in, was it Newtown, Connecticut?
Yeah.
Or Newton? Newtown?
Newton,
Connecticut. Some 24-year-old nut job went to an elementary school and started shooting up the place.
It's horrible.
I could sit here all day long and talk about how sad it is, and it is. I really feel for the families who lost children. I mean,
How can you not?
you think about it, and you're like, these kids were probably excited about Christmas coming up. Their parents had already bought them Christmas presents, and now just a few days before Christmas, they're going to have to bury those children. It's really sad. These kids hadn't had a chance to live their lives, okay? But we're going to get past that. I don't want to, it's a week before Christmas Eve right now, So we're not going to talk about that. But, I mean, there are things that I kind of want to rant about as far as this goes. I've been watching the news a lot lately. And here's what I hate about this 24-hour news anymore, okay? Every fucking news channel anymore is 24-hour news. You got CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. There's more of them, isn't there?
Yeah, there's current TV. Well, they're not a news network per se. But
Yeah.
They show news programs.
But you've got all these networks that are even, 5 ESPNs on regular cable. Okay, and you have one that'll be talking about football all day long, and another one talking about baseball all day long. It's December, and they're talking about baseball all day long on ESPN Baseball Network, have we become that bored or boring of a nation that, 5 months before baseball season even begins, we have a network that's talking about baseball 24/7?
Well, fanatics.
There are fanatics, true, and
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, but as much as I love football, baseball, I really can't stand watching it or listening to it or talking about it all day long.
That's why you can turn it off, but it's there if you decide you're in the mood to hear about football or baseball.
But back to the original point I was going to try to make with this. You have all these 24-hour news stations, and when I watch the news, I want to hear right there, the news, what's going on. I don't want to hear some news reporter say, well, there's been speculation that, or, well, I think that, or it's safe to say that, or, well, apparently it seems to be. I want to hear, this is what happened. This is what's going to happen. Okay? Most people probably don't know this. When I started out in radio, I started out on an AM Christian station as an intern. I then got promoted to news person. So I was reporting the news 3 times a day. That was my job. And I could have moved up through FM, and if I would have stuck with it, you never know, I could have gone somewhere with it. But I don't think that I could be one of these news people that throws out opinions or throws out speculation. And then they'll toss these things out. They'll report on this, and then the next day they got to say, well, it seems to be that, we got this wrong, basically. Okay, when this first came out, the mother of the killer was found dead in school.
Yep.
His name was Ryan Lanza. And now they're like, oh, well, it's actually Ryan Lanza's brother, Adam Lanza. And their mother was found dead in their home. They don't know if it was suicide or murder. And then they were like, well, his mother works at the school. Now, she has no connection to the school. So they're throwing out all these speculations, and now they're saying, well, there's a possibility that he was autistic. And now, you've got all these criminal psychologists and these criminal profilers that are coming in and they're talking about autism and its connection with these rampage killings. Okay. Now, I would have to say that in mass media, probably the best portrayal of somebody with autism would be the film Rain Man. Anybody will tell you that that is dead on accurate. And you know what? I don't see somebody like Rain Man orchestrating something like this and going on a shooting rampage. I really don't. Right now, this kid is more hated than Osama bin Laden and Timothy McVeigh ever were put together. Okay, people hate this guy. And I think it's because children are involved. Anything that has to do with children, emotions are going to be a little bit higher. I get that. But I think what we need to really talk about with this is not how sad it is that these kids are dead. I think that goes without saying. You'd have to be a real insensitive asshole to really think that it's not sad. Okay, we get it, it's sad. Stop posting shit on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all this other crap. That's just going to bring up bad memories for everybody. What we need to get down to now is, okay, we have on average one of these school shootings a year. Okay, which averages out to about 20 people per school shooting. I think this might have, I don't know, maybe Columbine was probably the most. I think there was 40. But either way, I think it averages out between 15 and 20 per school shooting. Virginia Tech was, I think, like 18 maybe. I'll have to look that up later. But I don't think it's about, a lot of people are talking about gun control and, weapons need to be outlawed altogether. And, That's why I hate these liberal asses that crawl out of the woodwork every time there's something like this. And they say, well, we need to ban all guns. Okay.
What is that going to do?
Cocaine is illegal. Cocaine is illegal. Heroin is illegal. Yet we have people sitting in prisons right now for cocaine and heroin usage. Okay, if somebody is going to go on a shooting rampage, they're going to get those guns somewhere else. Okay, I guarantee you that most of the people sitting in prison right now for shooting deaths probably obtained those weapons illegally. I could probably speculate that 85% of people in prisons all across the country who shot and killed somebody, or even, let's just say, and just shot somebody, did it with a gun that was illegally purchased. Because if you have a gun, a handgun, or an assault weapon, you have to register that gun like it's a car. That serial number is on file attached to your name. So if a bullet is fired from that weapon, it's going to get traced back to you. People who own guns know this. People who own guns illegally know this. That's why they get them illegally.
And that's why they
because it can't be
serial numbers.
Exactly. So it cannot be traced back to them. Okay, there are, even dignified people who have killed somebody, these crimes of passion that we hear about, that have shot and killed somebody, that owned guns, but will go out on the street and buy one illegally so that it doesn't get traced back to them. It's been proven in every single state that has enabled the concealed carry law. It has been proven that violent crime rates drop. Several times a year you'll hear on the news about somebody killed or shot by somebody who was carrying a concealed weapon, and they did it in self-defense. Just a few months after they first enacted this, in Akron or Canton or somewhere over there, there was an off-duty officer at a family Christmas party. A family member, it was like a brother-in-law or the husband of a cousin or something, was getting unruly, went out to his truck, grabbed a gun. The off-duty officer who had his concealed carry permit had to shoot and kill the guy. And, of course, they deemed it to be in self-defense, and he got off with it. There was I can't remember where it was, I think it was in Michigan recently, where this guy shot and killed these two teenagers that broke into his home. This was just a few weeks ago. It was somewhere, it was north of here. It was like somewhere between Toledo and like Detroit or something. Two teenagers, a male and female, broke in this guy's house, and he shot and killed them. If anybody breaks into your house, you have the right to shoot them.
Castle laws.
Exactly. In this country, you have the right to defend yourself. If you outlaw guns, you no longer have that right. You become sitting ducks. Any criminal could break into your house with an illegally purchased gun and kill you. And you can't do anything about it. So what we're doing is we're talking about taking away the guns of the people who have done nothing wrong. We're punishing the innocent because of a few psychopaths, And it's like I said earlier, they were trying to label this kid as autistic. But I don't get why we have to keep making up excuses for psychopaths. Charles Manson started killing people because of the Beatles. The Columbine kids, and this pisses me off still to this day, the Columbine kids did it because of Marilyn Manson. They were goth. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something about the Columbine kids. People labeled them as goth because they wore trench coats. However, they were wearing camo underneath those trench coats, and when they raided those kids' rooms, they found country music CDs. Are you going to say that Hank Williams Jr. or Tim McGraw told these kids to go out and kill people? No, but they're going to blame Marilyn Manson. Whatever. I'm not saying that the music made them do it. But why label somebody, especially before you have the facts? So we always have to find a scapegoat. We can't just know that people are just bad, and especially right-wing conservatives. They want to believe that everybody is good. But if they're bad, then there has to be something wrong with them.
They're evil. They're possessed.
Exactly.
They have been taken over by some kind of liberal brainwashing and they become bad.
Exactly. And then now you have the Westboro Baptist Church people that want to protest at the funerals of the kids that were killed. Let me tell you something about that, okay? These people are probably some of the biggest nut jobs in this country. These people have some serious issues, okay? There's no prayer in school is another thing that they're blaming this on.
Yeah.
First off, the shooter, not a student. But then they will tell you that, well, God made this happen because he's not allowed in the schools. You want to know something? You can pray in school if you want. In fact, most public high schools have an extracurricular Bible study group that any student can attend. They're not forced to, but they can attend. My high school had a Bible study group. Usually it's after school for half hour, whatever, however long they want to stay.
Usually it's some kind of thing they call a theology club, and they talk about different kinds of religions, but mostly focus on Christians.
Yeah, at my school it was Christians, Catholics were welcome, any religion was welcome,
Well,
but,
Catholics aren't Christians. Don't
yeah.
get me started on that.
So, no one is stopping you from saying a morning prayer before that bell rings.
And
But if you disrupt class to pray, someone might get offended, A Jewish kid might get offended, a Muslim kid might get offended, and that's why we don't have prayer in school, because there's so many different religions out there. You can't please all of them, But no one's going to stop you if you want to pray on your own time in study hall, before the bell rings, before lunch, you could say grace.
you know what?
Nothing is stopping you from doing that.
When that guy busted in and he started shooting, I'm sure that a lot of kids that died probably started praying.
Oh, yeah,
Did
absolutely.
that stop them from dying?
No. No,
You can't say that prayer would have stopped this from happening.
exactly.
People are going to kill you whether or not you pray or not.
God granted us free will, and anybody who's religious will tell you that, except for these Westboro Baptist Church people. These are the same people that were protesting the funerals of the soldiers, saying, well, these soldiers are dying because this country tolerates gay marriage. Okay. I believe in the same God that you guys do. And I'm going to say this. My God forgives you guys for being retarded. If God was going to kill somebody for tolerating gay marriage, don't you think he would be, I don't know, maybe striking these gay bars or bathhouses with lightning, or maybe random fires? Possibly.
If God hated gay people, why would they still be here?
Exactly.
Well, and you know what their argument would be? If God hated pedophiles, why are they still here? Well, that's their argument, and it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
It just seems to me like they're protest happy, And with the whole prayer in school thing, if public schools started mandating prayers, you would have some lawyer-happy liberal suing the pants off of everybody that works for that school. They would get their 15 minutes in front of the news cameras, and it would stop before it started.
You'd have a lot of kids who would rebel against it. They'd be like, we have to pray. I don't want to pray.
Exactly. And
Teenagers are rebellious.
There are religious schools all over, everywhere. Youngstown is not a very big place, but we even have Muslim schools, Jewish schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools.
Youngstown Christian
All of them.
Academy, Mooney, Ursuline, JFK.
Exactly. There's so many of them.
How many grade schools are there? How many preschools?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Almost every big church, every big parish has a preschool program.
My son goes to a Catholic preschool. And he's going to go to that Catholic school until after his first Holy Communion, and then he's going to have the choice to go to public school. So, you have those options. No matter what religion you are, I'm sure your town probably has a school. You want your child to pray in school, tell him if you go to public school, do it on your time. Don't disrupt class to do it. And even if you go to Catholic school, you say a morning prayer and an afternoon prayer, and that's it.
Well, no. At my Catholic school, we said a morning prayer.
That was it, right?
It.
Yeah.
We said a morning prayer, and then we did the national anthem, and then we did the announcements, and then we got to our first period class. That's what it was.
Exactly. And so those options are there. I mean, you could say your morning prayer in school as long as you're not disrupting the class. Mm-hmm. It's not that we're trying to ban religion from public schools, but we're trying to accommodate all these religions. There's so many of them,
If you go to a public school, not everyone is going to have the same religion. Not everyone is going to feel comfortable praying in the same manner. So if you tell them they have to pray in a certain way, it's not going to work.
It's like, the
Muslim people pray facing a certain direction, kneeling.
They face towards Mecca.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is
now
east of us.
Now, it's always complicated when it comes to religion. And like I said, there's so many of them. I could sit here for an hour and name off religions. I mean, we covered the major ones just now. Muslims, Jews. And it's like the whole controversy with, Christmas. Okay? There's people who want happy holidays or, they want to get rid of it altogether. And what's funny about that is it's not any one non-Christian religion that's doing it. It's actually the atheists that are the ones protesting this, the ones that don't believe in any sort of God at all.
And you know what? I can't blame all atheists, because not all the atheists get all uppity.
No, it's the ones that like the media attention.
Like
the Westboro Baptist Church. Not all Christians are total whack jobs, but those people...
Not all Catholic priests are little kids.
Those people are up there with people like Ted Nugent and Charlton Heston. I support guns. I do. I own guns. I own rifles for hunting, and I own handguns for protection. Other than an incident a few years ago, everybody knows about that. I had a concealed carry permit. It was banned for 5 years. I wasn't allowed to have it for 5 years. And I got it back. So, there are times where I feel that I need to pack heat, and I will.
My mom has a concealed permit, and I'm glad that she does. Because if she hadn't had a gun, I would probably be dead right now. I had some whack job kick in my door and start shooting on Halloween in the middle of the afternoon one year. I was 9 years old, eating macaroni and cheese.
Well, here's the funny thing, people bitch about just guns in general.
I don't like guns,
but
I support the right to have them.
You should have, if you have guns in your home and young kids in your home, yeah, they should be locked up. Just, to prevent any sort of accidental shooting. I know that at the high school that I went to, there were some young kids, I think they were a little bit younger than me, playing Russian roulette with what they thought was an unloaded gun. One kid shot himself in the face. Okay, Al, I think that you should teach your kids, if there's going to be guns in the home, even if they're going to be locked up, teach your kids how to properly and safely operate a firearm starting at a young age. At 5, my dad taught me how to shoot a BB gun. A year later, he taught me how to shoot a .22 rifle. Every year after that, it went up. Until I was shooting 9mm. By the time I was 13, 14 years old, I knew how to shoot a 9mm handgun. I was shooting 45s. I've even shot an AK-47 before.
I've never shot a gun.
Okay? If you teach your kids how to properly handle and how to safely execute the usage of any type of weapon, you can prevent things like this. And one thing I want to throw out about these school shootings, it's been an issue, I think, since the Virginia Tech shooting, which, what year was that? 2008, 2009?
I think so.
I think London was a baby when this happened. I remember I was still feeding him a bottle when I saw it on TV. They started bringing up the idea of allowing teachers to carry concealed weapons, allowing the principals, secretaries, everybody that is, an employee of the schools to carry a concealed weapon, or maybe even requiring it. I support this because, like I said, the concealed carry permit works. You're not going to walk into a convenience store wielding a firearm not knowing whether or not that clerk has one too. He may be a quicker draw than you. He may be able to shoot you in the face before you can even pull your gun out. And then he won't go to jail because it was self-defense.
Exactly.
So I think forcing the teachers to carry guns would possibly deter these school shootings by, I'd say 50%. I'd say it would cut down 50% of these school shootings.
Not that I disagree with you, but I think an argument against that would be, well, then the kids would know that the teachers had them and might try to get them.
If it's on their waist, concealed, they have a less chance of getting it.
But
if they're properly trained,
it might be in the desk drawer.
In this, well, they would need to carry it at their waist. It should not be locked in a desk drawer. If somebody comes in with a gun, you need to be able to draw that real fast.
That might also scare some of the kids.
It might make them behave. Honestly, I think it would cut down on a lot of criminal activity in schools. Since Columbine, schools have become like prisons anymore. You got to be buzzed in. They lock down the classrooms every time class is in session. A lot of them have armed security guards now.
Okay. Did you know that I got kicked out of 8th grade?
I did not know that.
Do you know why?
Why?
I call it my violent violin. I thought I had a field trip, and I had orchestra that day, so I didn't bring my violin. Turns out the field trip was the following week, so I called my mom to bring my violin so I could go to orchestra class. Well, when my mom brought it in, she went to the secretary, and the secretary's like, "Oh, what's that?" And my mom's like, "Oh, this is my kid's gun. I brought it for her. Ha ha ha." Well, no, it didn't even start like that. It started, "That looks like a gun case." The secretary said that. The secretary said to my mom, "That looks like a gun case. Ha ha ha." She laughed. My mom continued with the joke, and she's like, "No, it's just her violin. She forgot it because she thought she had a school trip. She has orchestra. Can you get this to her?" And the secretary said, "Well, you really shouldn't joke about things like that." My mom apologized and left. Well, my mom and I weren't living in Boardman like we said we were, and the school sent an armed cop to the place where we said we were living, which was my aunt and uncle's house. And they found out that we weren't living there, so they kicked me out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that was post-Columbine, so...
That was about...
Zero tolerance.
2 years after Columbine.
Yeah.
I was in 6th grade when that happened. So, yeah, I was in 8th grade when that happened.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school when that happened, and it was probably about 3 weeks after when, the no tolerance thing happened. And there were some kids that were freshmen at that time that were having a party over the weekend. Well, one kid's parents were out of town, and they were sitting in class passing around a list of names, and it just said, list on the top. One of the teachers confiscated it, thought that it was a hit list, and 5 students got expelled. And yeah, it was only like 5 weeks before the end of the school year, but those kids had to repeat their freshman year because they got expelled.
Oh, I didn't have to repeat 8th grade.
And that's not really fair to them, being that it wasn't a hit list, but once again, like I said, zero tolerance, so there was really nothing that they could do about it. And it's really a shame that it's come down to that. High school is really supposed to be a good experience for people. Now, you have kids that are killing themselves over bullying. And, I've seen some pretty brutal bullying when I was in school. But you know what? A lot of those kids have gone on to be more successful than the kids that were bullying them.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you that, you're really going about it all wrong by taking your own life because you're getting bullied, okay? It can't possibly be that bad. Like you have that incident, a few months ago. Back in October, that girl was all over the internet. She was being bullied. She killed herself. And then you find out she was basically just a slut. This girl flashed some pervert online during a cam chat, and he printed out the picture, started stalking her. Well, she went back and was camming with other guys after this dude started stalking her. And then she goes and sleeps with this guy who had a girlfriend after, he said that he loved her and all this other shit. So now the girlfriend's bullying her. And she's like, well, I thought this guy loved me. I thought he was going to leave his girlfriend for me. No. You're... Teenagers, I think, have become dumber. I really do. These this Jersey Shore generation, they're like 2 brain cells above being mentally, legally retarded.
It's because they all believe in YOLO.
I don't think it's YOLO. I think it's just
they don't think of the
stupidity
of their actions.
When
there are consequences.
When I first got the internet,
there's going to be a reaction.
When I first got the internet, it was 1997. We were told about pedophiles. We were told that once you post something on the internet, you can never get rid of it, even in chat rooms.
It's there forever.
Because anything could happen. It could get, there was screen caps back then. You could take a picture of the computer screen with a camera back then. Of chat room stuff. And, you post a naked picture, somebody could be downloading it. I said once to somebody, and this was back in 1999, once you put something on the internet, it's there forever. And they're like, well, I could just delete it.
No.
What if 5,000 people already downloaded it? Then it's gone. You can't get it back, That's life. The internet has become sort of a double-edged sword. You could use it for good things. It could also be used for evil. The amount of child pornography in this world has dramatically increased because of the internet. Pedophilia has become a lot worse than it was 15, 20 years ago because of the internet.
I don't think it's worse. I think that it gives them an easier way to access it. I think it's more widespread now. I think there are the same amount of pedophiles. It's just been sensationalized in the media.
It's become kind of like an epidemic the last few years. And the internet allows it to be more widespread. You know, it's so much easier to access child pornography. It's so much easier for them to connect with other pedophiles. You know, you've got NAMBLA. They have public fucking meetings where they all get together and talk about banging little boys. And
where's Westboro Baptist Church when you need them? Why don't
they should be infiltrating NAMBLA meetings. Yes, they should.
No, I don't think it's more widespread. I think that it's just more out in the open now. I think that if the internet wasn't around, they would just be taking pictures with their Polaroid cameras of their neighbors or family members. It's always existed. It always will.
Just 10 years ago, there was in Howland, here in Ohio, near Youngstown, there was a house that burned down, and all that was left was the foundation. And in the crawl space, they found the charred remains of a gigantic safe full of Polaroids from the 40s, 50s, and 60s of little boys and little girls. So yeah, it has been around for a very, very long time. But like I said, you know,
it's just easy to access.
As we as Americans become dumber, crimes of stupidity become more widespread. Not prevalent, but more widespread. You know, you have more of it happening. You know, there's more people in America now than there was 20 years ago, which means there's more pedophiles in this world now.
But I also think with the internet, not only is it easier to access, it's easier to get caught.
Oh yeah, I mean they track IP addresses every day.
So,
I mean there's nationwide.
The fact that it's easier to get caught. More of them are getting caught. More of them are going through the system, and that's why we see the rise in pedophiles in the jail system. Is because more of them are getting caught.
There's nationwide rings of child pornography that are broken up every year. You know, so. You know, obviously there's more than there was 20 years ago. You know, they didn't have those types of busts going on then. And, you know, going back to talking about the guns, you know, like I said, I support the concealed carry thing. You know, just like I said that, you know, I support the legalization of all drugs. Other countries have done it, and it's gotten the cartels out of their country. And that's really what we need to do. Screw the users, the recreational users. I mean, if someone is going to die of an overdose of heroin, they're going to die of an overdose of heroin, regardless of whether it's legal or illegal. Okay? What you want to do is you want to get rid of the violent cartels. Of course, then there's people that say, well, then you're losing jobs for, you know, the narcotics officers and the FBI agents and the ATF people that are, you know, their job is to get rid of these people.
There
no.
may be some people who may lose jobs, but you still have to regulate it.
But what I'm saying, though, is those people whose job was once to, you know, capture drug dealers and get rid of the cartels can now focus on gun crimes. You know, can focus on sex offenders. You know, just reassign them. You know, FBI agents may be an expert on one thing, but they're cross-trained in everything. Just give them, you know, up-to-date training and transfer them. Same with police officers, detectives, all of them. They're cross-trained. All you need to do is update their training, and they're good to go in another department. Focus on something that's going to be more important, because something being illegal, all you're doing is increasing the probability that more violent activity is going to take place. Just like with prostitution. Legalize it, and you're going to have less violence in prostitution. You know, I even really think that you're going to cut down on the instances of prostitution, because I know a lot of people that probably do it because it's illegal. The thrill of getting caught is what excites these men, and that's why they keep going back. Okay, the people that do it because they can't get laid, they're going to keep doing it. But the ones that do it because it being illegal thrills them,
and the people
they're not going to do it anymore.
The people who prey on hookers,
the pimps.
Go down because
the pimps. The government would be the pimps now, and so you would have less pimps going after guys who didn't pay.
Mm-hmm.
You'd
have less hookers being beat up by their pimps. You would have less hookers being killed by crazy pervert guys.
Exactly. That's what it's all about right there. In Ohio, back in 2006, they passed a law, or in 2007, they passed a law that, strip clubs can no longer show nipple if they serve alcohol. And adult bookstores, theaters, peep shows, jack shacks can't stay open past midnight. Between midnight and 6 a.m., they had to be closed. Okay? And now strip clubs can't serve alcohol after 12. They have to close before 4, but they have to stop serving alcohol at 12. Now, I disagree with this. Okay? I don't want these perverts roaming the streets where I live while my child is in bed sleeping. And of course the government will say, well, they're going to be in the jack shacks while, your child is in school, so they can't go and take your kid from school. My kid's in school. He's safe. There's a lot of adults there that are going to protect him from perverts coming in there, okay? Now, when I'm awake, I could protect my child. While I'm sleeping, someone could break into my house and take my kid out of his room in the middle of the night, and I'll be none the wiser. Okay? Keep these places open all night like they used to be. And actually, rapes in the state of Ohio have gone up since then. And they can't figure out why. Duh!
They don't have a release.
These dudes aren't going down to the jack shacks and having circle jerks anymore.
They don't have an outlet.
Exactly. It's... And what it all boils down to is the liberals and the conservatives can't come to an agreement on this shit. That's the biggest issue. You'll have one group saying one thing and another group saying another, and they just can't come to some sort of compromise.
No one wants to hear anyone else's opinion. They don't want to accept that someone who has a different opinion could be right.
Mitt Romney.
No compromise. There's no compromise.
That's like the whole, thing with the Republicans in Congress saying, well, we won't pass anything that Obama puts on our table. Well, you know what? You got to do something while you're in there. You guys got another fucking 4 years to deal with this guy. Do something. Or I'm going to vote you guys out. Okay? We got an election coming up here in 2014. We have the congressional midterm election. A lot of seats are up for re-election. And you know what? The last midterm election, I voted every motherfucker out. If there was somebody running, I don't care if it was, the local jackass here at City Hall who was up for re-election. I don't care how low the position was. If they were an incumbent and they had someone running against them, I don't care who the person was, what they stood for. I said, you know what? You're an idiot. I'm voting for this guy. If everybody did that, I think that we would see a better America. Because these guys would, instead of getting into Congress or into City Hall and saying, all right, I'm set. As long as I keep my name in the local papers, people are going to recognize it and they're going to keep voting for me. I'll be here for a while. Instead of that, they'll be saying, oh, shit, I got 2 years or I got 4 years to prove myself. Maybe I should do something while I'm here. That's how it should be. These people, it should be like any other job. If they're not doing the damn job, get them the fuck out and get someone in there that's going to do it. Like any other job. If you're not doing your job, you get fired. Right?
Right.
That's the way that the government should be ran. It should be ran, they work for us, we don't work for them. We sign their paychecks. Our tax dollars are paying their salaries. We have the power to remove these people from office. Most Americans will tell you, well, my vote doesn't count. I can't change anything. Bullshit. Every 2 years, you have the opportunity to change it. And most people won't. We're going to take a bit of a musical break here. We're going to play you some Christmas music. This is Alice Cooper with Santa Claus is Coming to Town.